let's just begin at the beginning here when we talk about life goals based on options for work. Well, the work can be something where if you've been out of work for a while, you need to sort of look at all of the opportunities and options that are available beyond what you used to do. For example, I have friends who used to be in the newspaper business, and we all know that's not a real good business today. So if you're out of work in the newspaper business, you need to think about yourself as a communicator, perhaps, or you need to think about what other skills you might have that you can use in a different way. One of my favorite stories is a woman who was very good at organizing. She used to do kind of administrative work in an office. She now runs a business where she comes into people's homes, cleans them up, takes care of the closets, takes care of the garages, takes care of whatever it is that needs to be cleaned up. Plus, she's got a job with the county, or she's become the person that the county turns to when they need to have someone come in and clean up after someone who's been hoarding, which is a huge problem with older people, with seniors. Some of them, they, hoard things. Well, some of the stories are pretty mind-boggling. But at any rate, what she has done is taken her skills and reapplied them to an entirely different track, something totally different than she thought she was ever going to do. Then when it gets to money, you got to stop and think, how much money do you really need? I mean, come on, think about it. How much money do you really need? We tend to spend a lot of money, but do we need to spend it on as many things as we are spending it upon? For example, we spend a lot of money on travel. Obviously, that's hurting because there's a lot of deals out there. There's a lot of discounts in restaurants, a lot of things that indicate that these are places people aren't spending their money anymore the way they used to. But you need to start looking at your budget and say, where are you spending money that you may not need to spend it? Because if you are the average 50-year-old woman who has money in the bank, good for you. If you are the average 50-year-old woman who has a savings account, good for you. But if you've had some of this wiped out and you are 50 or older, time to start thinking about cutting back voluntarily so that you can build up for what may be coming down the line. This may last quite a little while, this recession. Then let's get into intimacy a little bit, because I really love to talk about this, because we had a survey on the WomanSage website, which, by the way, is WomanSage, WomanSage.org. And there's a survey on there about whether or not you want to get married again after age 50 if you are suddenly find yourself single, through divorce, through widowhood, or even just through never having been married. And would you like to get married again, or married for the first time, or what would you like to do? And 74% of the women who have responded to this survey, and we've had more than 3,000 women respond nationally, 74% of them are not at all interested in getting married because they don't want to be responsible and taking care of a man, but they would like a little bit of a sex life. So they say it's okay if you live close and visit often, but, just don't put your socks in the drawer. I find that kind of interesting. The women are not at all shy about going to social networking websites, finding someone to date, finding someone to get involved with. But they're not at all interested particularly in getting married, while men, by and large, are the ones who want to get married, who want to have somebody to know that they will have somebody cooking for them and somebody taking care of them. So this is another way that we have changed the equation, and we could not change that equation. We could not make that decision to just live close and visit often if we didn't have some sense of economic independence. Again, whether or not this recession is going to change things, I don't know. You have to recalculate that. It may shorten or eliminate a lot of the this trend towards gray divorces that the Gores seem to personify for everybody. The idea that after 40 years of marriage you would want to get divorced, there seemed to be a great deal of surprise about that. Why would Tipper Gore want to get divorced after 40 years? He must have been a naughty boy and she caught him at it, and that's why she wants to do that. I don't know that that's necessarily true. I think a lot of women will wait until the children are grown, will wait until they feel that they have no more family obligations that they are responsible for, and then perhaps they will say, I think I want a different life. I've spent 40 years with you, and I think that's long enough. Again, this demands that you have some economic independence to make these decisions. The other interesting thing that has been brought out consistently is in the Harvard Health Letter, and it's on Women 50 and Forward. It's in all kinds of medical and psychological reports that I read, and that is the importance for women in being able to network and have family and friends to network with. Now, when I say family, that is an interesting angle, too, because I have been told that 69% of the boomer children have come home or in some way asking for financial support from their parents. 69% of them. That's a statistic that I'm looking into because it seems like an awfully large percentage of kids asking for some sort of financial support. Whether or not the kids are going to give you any psychological support is another interesting factor. When we're stuck with as much caregiving as we are today, we are required to give our parents a lot of psychological support. It will be interesting to see whether or not our children give us that same sort of support. WomanSage was founded because one of the questions on a survey that I initially put out was, do you have a circle of friends you meet with regularly? And a surprising 92% of the women nationally who responded to that survey said no. And so we founded WomanSage as a nonprofit, thinking we'd get maybe 40 or 50 women together in Orange County, and we have found out we got, well, we're up to 600, 700 members locally and about 3,000 on our email list. But the whole point of that was for women to find a way to network and to find a way to find support and friendship after age 50. Not network for a business purpose, but network for a social purpose, a social and psychological purpose. And what we found is that these women will meet monthly in our, what we call our meeting salons rather than actual meetings, because they sit in around a table and they have conversation. But we also have special interest groups, smaller groups that the women break off into, and find this very helpful in continuing to find friends and to find social activities that they can do. We even, you know, it can be as serious as transitioning to retirement, or it can be a group that just has fun, like an evening of bunco. But having some sort of friends, having, as Harvard Women's Health Report says, someone to bowl with, is absolutely critical. And the other thing you have to do, of course, at the same time as you're doing all of this, is take care of your own health, which again is an issue that requires you to do the basic things that you know, but also make sure that you are keeping up with whatever is new in health concerns. I think women are pretty darn good at that, and I'm not going to dwell on that part too long. But I wanted to talk about, again, get back to recalculating your goals, to getting back to the idea that you have to figure out what you're doing at age 50 and forward. You have to figure out where your life is going, what your purpose and identity is. And you know, you have to think about things as simple as volunteering. And I'm not talking about volunteering as a pink lady at the hospital. I'm talking about volunteering with a purpose, where you feel that you are contributing to society and really making a difference. I think through volunteering you can actually make a very good impression on potential employers. And I don't mean to suggest you should volunteer to find a job. I do mean that you should be doing something all the time so that you don't look as though you're just sitting around waiting for the phone to ring. That you should be looking at the concept of making a difference for people in your neighborhood, in your community, and also building your own network and of knowledge and connections at the same time. You've got to look at your life pot and figure out where you have to put your attention, most of your attention. And I think if you're working and if you have an income, you can spend more time volunteering just for fun. I think if you are unemployed and if you are looking for work, you still have to get out there and give back to the community to show that you have initiative and to show that you care about other people. I heard Margaret Mack, who is from First Republic Bank in San Francisco recently, talk about the woman support system that she thinks is so important. And she was particularly concerned that you remember the importance of the Internet, and you remember what's going on with social networking, and you remember what's going on with all of the pictures you put up and all of the things you say about other people, because as she said, this is a time when it's a small world, and her language was don't piss anybody off. And I think she's probably right. It's a time when we have to be very careful and be sure that we are putting the best image of ourselves forward, whether we're doing it for a job or whether we're doing it to build friendships or whether we're doing it to find some guy that we can encourage to live close and visit often. I think the image of ourselves is probably our most important asset from now on, and I don't mean physical image, I mean our image on the Internet. Amy, did you have any questions about anything that you would like to discuss or ask me about?